Greetings. As I've said before, normally when I do a pen review video, it's a pen that I've had for a while and that I've used and can really form an opinion of. A little while ago, I did a review of the TWSBI Go, and I kind of did it on the fly video where I literally was using it for the first time on the video. That video was pretty well received, so I thought I would try it again and take it to a whole nother level. I'm gonna take the pen, unbox the pen, and use it for the first time on this video and see what my impressions are. I literally have not opened the box of this pen. I have not touched this pen yet. This is the Kaco Edge. This is a pen that definitely is somewhat evocative of a Lamy 2000. I have a Lamy 2000 right here. You can see just right through the package, they're very similar. And over the course of the review, we'll definitely be comparing these two pens. This is an inexpensive Chinese-made pen that costs about $12. It comes in this nice box. We can see the pen, and it comes with a cartridge. It looks like a long Standard International cartridge. The back of the package is almost all in Chinese. It says "Born for Excellence" here, which is a nice slogan. Has the company website, and again some sort of stocking label or what have you. Let's open this up. It is sealed with tape stickers on both ends. So let's simply cut those open, and we shall see what we have here. Again, this is a nicely packaged pen, suitable for gifting, I would say, provided it proves to be a nice pen. This looks like it just slides out. We have our Standard International cartridge, or at least that's what it appears to be. And then we have the pen itself. So at first glance, this is really, really similar. I'm just going to set this aside. This is really, really similar to a Lamy 2000. So let's just put them side by side with each other. Wow. So almost the exact same size, almost the exact same girth. It looks like the girth of the caps are the same. The barrel on the Kaco Edge is a tiny bit narrower and straighter. You have sort of more of a bulge on the Lamy 2000. While we're at it, let's just do our normal comparison. Here they are compared to a Lamy Safari and a Pilot Metropolitan. So you can see all these pens are pretty much in the ballpark of each other, if not spot on in size. Okay. So at first glance, this feels relatively light. Let's give it a weight here. Let's get our scale out. And again, normally this is stuff I do when I'm prepping for a video, but we're going to do this sort of in real time. So this pen weighs 24 grams. That's without, I'm assuming that's without ink. Let's just open this up real quick and make sure there's not another cartridge in here or anything like that. Oh yeah, there is. Okay, so let's just take that out. Close it back up. So without ink or anything, it's 23 grams, and just by way of comparison, the Lamy 2000 is 26, but this pen is relatively full of ink. But so they're very, very comparable in weight. Okay. So first impressions, I like it. I like the way it feels. I mean, I like the Lamy 2000 a lot. If you like the Lamy 2000, why would you not like this? Let's see what the deal with this clip is. Wow, very stiff. And it doesn't look like it's got much of a way of sliding under fabric here. I'm guessing you're going to have to do this like you do with a lot of Visconti clips. You're going to have to do like the pinch and lift maneuver to clip it to a shirt, but that's just very, very stiff. I guess they call it the Kaco Edge because I guess this shape here is very much evocative of sort of a blade on a folding knife. So it is an interesting look. Certainly will function as a roll stop quite nicely, but this is just, it's spring loaded, but boy, this is just very, maybe it'll work itself out over time, I don't know, but this is definitely going to be one of those pinch and lift type deals, I would imagine. And this might actually, if you have like a delicate fabric on your shirt, this might actually do some damage. So Just be a little careful there. But, you know, other than the stiffness of that, I like it. So the top finial is almost identical to that on the Lamy 2000. The Lamy 2000 does have a little line etched there, but they both sort of have a shiny, polished finish on the top. The bottom is different. The Kaco basically has a black polished surface, whereas the Lamy has a little metallic disc insert. The material feels almost the same. It seems the grain on the Lamy is a finer grain. So this seems like a similar, I can't say if it's actually Makrolon. It's not quite as matte finish. It does have a tiny bit more gloss to it, and the grain on the finish is definitely coarser. But again, looks very, very nice. It's a pull to uncap. Oh, posts nicely. Yeah, that's a nice deep secure post. I like that. Hold on, it does seem a little short when, maybe I'm just imagining it. Let's post these two next to each other and see. Yes, so it is a tiny bit shorter when posted than the Lamy. Not egregiously so, but definitely shorter. And of course, you can actually now see the big difference here is the nibs. This is a hooded nib that's actually gold, and this is a steel nib that is just a traditional style nib. Let's look at this section. So this section seems to, at least from what I could feel, seems to be the same material as the body. It does have almost these identical little nubs to hold the cap on that the Lamy has. Feels decently comfortable. I mean, I could definitely, again, very, very similar to the Lamy. I would say these little nubs are actually slightly, I mean, the ones on the Lamy don't bother me, but these are even less prominent than the ones on the Lamy, at least from what I could tell. Let's take a look at this nib. It says Germany extra fine and has a little logo on it. And other than that, it's a small, unassuming looking steel nib. So that is that. So this looks like it did not come with a converter. I'm guessing this does look standard international-ish, so I'm going to go rustle up a converter and see what we can do with that. So just stand by for just a moment. Okay, we got this converter here that I just dug up out of the drawer. Let's see if this will fit. Can we eyedropper this? That's actually an interesting question. No, I don't. It looks like there's something metallic in there. I can't tell. My initial thought on eyedropping is going to be a no. So let's see if this standard international cartridge fits, and it does. Snugly, but it does. Okay, so there we go with that. And let's try inking up this pen. All right, for ink, I'm going to try this Diamine Graphite. This is a nice ink. I've used this before. It is supposed to look a little bit like pencil writing. It does a bit. However, the champion of inks in terms of looking like a pencil, in my opinion, is Iroshizuku Kirasami. That really looks exactly like a pencil as far as I'm concerned. This is close, and again, not all pencils write alike either, but so this could definitely pass itself off as pencil writing if need be, but it's actually a nice ink. We'll see in a minute. So let's try inking this up right now. Okay, so we're going to open up our bottle. We're going to crank our converter all the way down, and let's see if this section fits. Yeah, it does. So let's pull some ink into the pen, and we'll do it a few times. A, to get a good fill, and B, to make sure that we get our nib and feed all nice and saturated. Normally on these inexpensive Chinese pens, I say it all the time, I pull the nib and feed out, do a rinse, etc. Not doing this here because I wanted just to see in real time on this video how it writes out of the box. If we have any issues, then we'll go from there. So that is nice and full. Let me close this up before that ink goes anywhere. And we'll give this a wipe, and then we'll see how it writes. Okay, folks, what we're writing with here is a Kaco edge. Okay, so my initial first impression on writing here is that it is very fine, which makes sense because this is a nib is labeled extra fine. So this nib is a bit too fine for my taste. I mean, I tend to prefer broader nibs. If you like an extra fine, this is a good nib. It's not the smoothest nib in the world, but it's about as smooth as one could reasonably expect an extra fine nib like this to be. The flow seems to be good. It's definitely comfortable. I'd say the wetness is about average for a nib like this. But, you know, again, about the only complaint I'd have, and this is not really a fair complaint, is that the nib is too fine. But, you know, but I knew I was getting something with an extra fine nib. If you like your nibs on the extra fine side, and I don't believe this comes in different sizes, you would be happy with this. This is a good, I mean, it's a nice writing nib. Wrote right out of the box. Didn't do anything remotely resembling tuning or anything. So, you know, obviously there's always the opportunity to do things like that. It's a somewhat standard size nib. It might be a number 5. Could be a number 5. You might be able to actually replace this nib. Again, not something I'd probably bother with because it's acceptable, just not great for me at this size. But all in all, not bad at all. My initial first impression. Obviously, I'm gonna have to use this for a bit to form a stronger view. It would have been nice if it came with a converter. That's about my only significant. So let's talk about what my complaints would be. So let's just enumerate them here. One would be no converter. Again, if you have converters lying around, like probably most of us do, not a big issue. Clip is very stiff. That might be the single biggest issue here because that could actually, I could definitely imagine this clip damaging clothing. Nib too fine, but that's really just for me. You may be quite happy with a fine nib like this. That's really it. Other than that, it's a really, really nice alternative / clone to Diamine 2000, and it's less than 1/10 the price. So there you go. And they are, like I said, they are very, very similar pens. Nibs are completely different, but the overall aesthetics of the pen are the same, with the exception of really the fact that the nib's not hooded and the clip is quite a bit different. And then if you like this knife blade style clip, the way it looks, then by all means, go for it. I can't say I have a glowing recommendation for this pen, but it is a nice pen. I mean, it's, you know, they did a pretty good job of knocking off the 2000, and with, you know, changing it in subtle ways to make it their own. The stiffness of this thing, though, I know I keep dwelling on it, but this really, and those edges there are not smooth underneath. So again, be careful with that on. If you have a really expensive shirt or something, I could definitely see it being a little rough on your clothing. Okay, so I think that's about all I have to say about this pen. Again, this was only the second time I've ever done one of these totally on the fly videos. I hope you liked it. Let's talk about the ink a little bit now, shall we? So this is Diamine Graphite. So this is basically a almost greenish gray. There is definitely like an interesting little green tint to it. But it is a gray that is meant to be evocative of writing with a pencil. And I would say that they've somewhat succeeded on that. Again, like I said, if you really want something that looks like a pencil, then go with the Roshizuku Kirasami. That's obviously a much more expensive ink, and that ink is actually not a well-behaved ink. I've said it before, that ink has actually dissolved sex on pens of mine. So if you're going to get that ink, make sure you use it in a pen that does not have a sac or any sort of other components that the ink could possibly degrade. But this is a sort of somewhat flat ink, and it's just meant to look like I guess a soft pencil would be a good, soft, somewhat darker pencil. The Roshizuku Kirasami is quite a bit lighter than this, and that's maybe why it looks to me more like a pencil. This is more of a, I guess, one of those drafting. This probably looks a little bit more like one of those drafting pencils, where the Roshizuku Kirasami looks more like an everyday #2 pencil. In any case, though, it's a nice ink. I think Diamine, once again, does a pretty good job with this. It's well behaved. It does not bleed through the paper. I think, if you're in the market for a grayish, darkish grayish graphite type ink, then it's definitely one to consider. And I have used it before. This is not the first time I've used this ink, and I've been relatively happy with it. I've actually used this in vintage pens as well. I have some vintage Esterbrook's that I've actually put this ink in, and I've been quite happy and successful with that. So it is I would classify it as a safe ink. Well, I think that is about it for this video. Well, as always, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe. If you did not, please leave a comment and let me know why. Or if you enjoyed it, leave a comment and let me know why you enjoyed it. In any case, have a good day. Bye-bye.